hmm I was just reading this Wall Street Journal. Yes. These federal funds for flood damage. Yeah. In Nebraska, 93 counties, 77 had declared emergencies. Yeah. Does anybody know why we still have floods? With all the geo engineering that we're doing, yes. It seems that we keep having these floods. Yeah. And quite often I ask myself, well, with all the technology that's available, why do we keep having floods? Yeah. Now, $1.4 billion worth of damage to homes, businesses, local infrastructures, and the state agricultural industries. Yes. Now, if I was to call Nebraska and ask them, do you like the amount of rain that you've been having? Is there something that could be done to mitigate the federal funds that keep getting asked for? Yes. Now, I know we had a snowstorm here, did some damage, right? Could you get me all the emergency federal funds that have been spent in the United States for the last 40 years? Yes. Because it seems like somebody had a hand at playing God. Yes. These acts, ACTS of God. Yes. Now, at one point, I asked the Army and the Navy to go back the last 250 years and look at the actual weather conditions of the United States. Yes. And as much as you say we don't have a problem as a nation, I have noticed there's been an increase in the acts of God. Yes. Now, a lot of insurance companies, they don't want to pay for what is the act of God. Yes. But there are some that have certain types of technology that could harp the ionosphere. Boop. As if that was absolutely necessary. Yes. In fact, I call them weather weapons. There's 38 locations throughout the world, where they can heat the atmosphere. Right. And it can cause the moisture content to kind of condense. Yeah. So as to cause unnecessary flooding. See, the Army and the Navy of the United States have been around for quite a long time. Yep. And they've had, well, weather prognosticators. But really, they have these weather individuals. Yes. That their job is to look at the actual conditions of natural disasters in the United States. Now, when you have 1.2 million employees, and approximately 900,000 of them are Army and Navy. Yes, I'm not really including the Marines in this. They're the amphibious unit, yes, of the United States military. And then there's the Air Force that got started sometime around World War II. Yeah. For a long time in the United States, we have had an Army and a Navy. Now, I would like you to do a calculation of the actual number of floods. Yes, tornadoes, right. Earthquakes, ooch, natural disasters that seem to keep ripping apart the United States of America. And then we all sit here every day wondering, well, how did that happen? I thought we didn't have that problem anymore. Now, these insurance companies that insure for the natural disasters that are acts of God. Yes, let's say you're an insurer. You're one of these Hurricane Katrina insurers or Florida insurers where the premiums go way up when you have a hurricane. Or maybe the East Coast, Hurricane Sandy. Yeah, you named it after my mother. Pooch! Every time there's a natural disaster, right, there's the federal funds that are spent. Yes. And then there's the infrastructure changes because what happens to the telephone system? Oh, see, when you spend federal funds for FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management, your Homeland Security, your Fusion Center. Yes, it does. Why don't we just look at it? Because somebody told me that there is no possible way that we do not have enough moisture content in the nation, that drought conditions do not exist, and that these natural disasters are not in some way removing the actual moisture of the nation from what it was 100 years ago. Now, let's say I had one of my steam generators. And I decided that no, we're not going to have a flood in Nebraska. And I heat up some steam to approximately 1500 degrees. Yes. And I release it in Arizona. Yeah. Knowing the weather conditions, the direction of the wind. And I decide to blow the flood all the way to the Atlantic. Now, there is some real practical reasons why you are going to want to do what I say, okay? I am wanting to manufacture approximately 400 billion to 500 billion gallons of fresh water in the United States every year. Now, these steam generating plants of large commercial buildings, yes, where you do not have to use the water, you manufacture water. Yep. You can sell that back to the municipality. Yes. Removing, yes, some of the need to have to treat the sewage. We, as of yet, do not have a way to separate urine and human nutrients from the individual residents. Both of it goes into the sewer. Yes. Now, I was thinking of these sewer gases. A lot of people have said, well, this a ram jet that you're going to put on the nose. I had planned on actually taking sewer gases from large municipalities, yes, and burning it as a very hot gas. Now, there's a lot of oxygen in the atmosphere, right? I know how to separate oxygen from carbon dioxide. Yes, I take oxygen and sewer gas, mix it together. Yes, put a little ingredient in it, light it up at 2500 degrees. Yes, put it in an underground structure so as to not cause the atmosphere to experience the heat. And then I put a large amount of garbage and shit together and I incinerate it. Oh, it makes a kind of ash that is very good for the manufacturing.